There you are, friends. Hi, Doc South. And I just realized I have and I may have told you this before, but I don't think it's part of my YouTube library, so may as well get it told. It's a UFO story, and as near as I know, a true one. I'm pretty certain the fellow that told me this tale lived the experience, and not that he apparently was in any danger, but he survived and told me all about it. Maybe a year after it happened. I was as you know, I was in the Navy a little, not not too long. I did get through boot camp and about a month beyond, and then I was discharged. I do have an honorable, but it's convenience of the government and thing mix up. Evidently, I hadn't told them that I had smoked pot when I was before the Navy, and they didn't seem to want me after that. So shame. I did kind of like it, and one thing I liked was all the different people you met, from all over the country, and all the different jobs they were going to be doing, and to me it was kind of cool, and God knows the food was good. Maybe not on all ships, but boy, at the Great Lakes Training Center, yum. I think Well, maybe that's another story. But my one of my bunkmates. Now in boot camp, I think you had three-tiered bunk beds, if I recall right. I think you had someone who was darn near down to the floor. I think someone else in the middle, and someone on top. And I'm pretty sure that was the case, or it may have been two-tiered bunk beds. Again, God, it was over 50 years ago. Give a guy a break. But I know one night it was lights out, and a lot of us would sit and talk and stuff, lay in bed and talk. You just couldn't quite go to sleep yet, kind of wound up with, the day's events. And this fella who again was, I think, in the bunk one below me, um, he says, "Hey, South, you awake?" I said, "Well, yeah, of course. What you want?" And we'll call him Bill, okay? Call him Bill. And he said, "Hey," he says, "do you believe in UFOs?" And I said, "Well, yeah." I said, I can't imagine that there aren't. I said, I've never, and I said, to the best of my knowledge, I've never seen one up close, and a man from Mars or from another solar system or galaxy. No, I've not seen anything, but gee, it's almost got to be. I mean, if we exist, there's got to be something out there. He says, "Yeah." I said, "What do you mean, yeah?" He says, he says, now he lived out in one of the northern plain states. I'm thinking, oh, maybe Iowa, something like that. That general neck of the woods, maybe more north than Iowa. And he says, look, he says, I got to tell someone. He says, this was maybe, he said, 6 months ago. I was coming home from a date with my fiance. In fact, they eventually did get married, the two of them, this one girl and Bill, and lovely girl. And he said, I was on my way home from a date, and I was heading, back to the house, and well, the area I lived in back then was, it's all fields. It's cornfields, one after another, after another, after another. And some of them are, a couple miles long, couple miles wide. And you just ride on these roads through all the corn. And it's corn on both sides of the road, and corn in front of you, corn behind you, pretty much. And he said, all of a sudden, uh, I see some lights just kind of standing still in the sky. And I think he said that one was green, one was red, and one might have been blue. Whatever. And I said, yeah. And he said they were separated, he says, probably a couple of football fields. and they were in a triangular pattern. I said, okay. And he said, as I got closer, I got to an area where the corn hadn't grown that well yet. He said the farmer might have been growing something else, some other, maybe pumpkins or something. But he said all of a sudden I could see the sky pretty good. And this darn thing, and it had been following me. It was kind of riding along with me. And I look up, and it's this big triangle. It's this big flat triangle. It was like the size of 2 or 3 football fields. He said, I couldn't believe it. I said, well, how high up was it? He said, it was only about 200 feet up. And I said, oh my God, that don't sound like an airplane to me. He says, no. And he said, I got out of the car. I said, you got out of the car? You didn't gun it and take off? He says, where am I going to go? God, if it's a flying saucer, it'd catch me anywhere I want. So, any time it wanted to, it'd have me. And I guess you're right. He said, so I got out and I looked, and he said it was just moving silently, just like a glide. He said it would just go like that. And he said it made no noise. You could just hear kind of like a whoosh, whoosh, like that. And I said, my God, did it do any? Did it come after you or anything? He says, no, it didn't seem to care much about me. It was just doing that whooshing all over the fields, checking them out. I said, God, maybe they wanted some corn. He says, well, it's good corn, but and the watermelons ain't bad up there, or cantaloupes, whatever the heck. And I said, well, maybe it was picking up a few for the trip home. Go figure. He says, I don't know. But then he said, all of a sudden, and again, he said, I'm standing there in the dark, and I could just see the body of it, but mostly it was those lights, and there were lights playing down onto the fields. Just kind of strutting around again, like they were tourists. I said, well, maybe they were. He says, God, he says, what's so cool about a cornfield? I said, well, corn. Maybe they wanted some corn for, like I said, told you before. He says, yeah, I guess. But they didn't take anything. I didn't see anyone going up and down, nothing. Just those beams sweeping all across the landscape. I said, so what happened? He said, well, after about 5 minutes of this, all of a sudden the beam stopped. It kind of made a kind of sound. And he said, Bazanga, man, it was gone. And he said, I mean, it was gone fast. Like that. And I said, so you're just standing there in the dark then? He says, yeah, he says, I kind of got into my car as fast as I could, and I got out of there. I said, wait, where would you go? He says, there'd be nowhere to go. If this thing wanted me, I was toast. I said, I'll be doggone. And he says, I swear it's true. And he brought it up. It wasn't like it was some kind of tall tale. I guess he wanted to get it off his chest. I said, have you told anyone? He says, no. I said, well, I'll be doggone, Thalen. That's all right. Well, you saw it, you lived. I guess they didn't mean you any harm. He says, no. He said, I feel fine. And I said, gosh, well, maybe when you get on a ship or something, you'll see one of them out at sea. He says, yeah, maybe, I guess. Wow. But yeah, he actually, I think the only person I've met who actually saw something like a UFO, a typical UFO in person, and only him. I've heard all sorts of stories. We all have, but I've never run into anyone that I can think of that actually saw it that way. Anyway, he's a good guy. Yeah, after I got out of the Navy, he came out to visit one day, I guess he was stationed down at the Naval Shipyard in Philadelphia, and he called me up and asked if he could come up for a visit. And well, yeah, we rode around a bit. Didn't see any UFOs though, but pretty cool guy. For him, a Lord's Prayer moment. Our Father, because that that I'm sure. In fact, I think he said he did do a little praying. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Emphasis on that. Deliver us from evil. Deliver us from evil, for thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. So be it. Oh, it'd be been funny if the UFO hollered amen and then took off. But yeah, it was as near as I know it's the only, like I said, true UFO story I know of. Anyway, thought you might like it. And I'll see you later. God bless.